ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is All Books No Brains, episode 3 of our cute little podcast that we're 3 episodes deep and finally has a name.
Yeah, finally. And today our topic is a brain part that we're supposed to not have.
We're supposed to supposedly, theoretically not have.
But we want to talk about reading in general and the epidemic that is not reading.
That's true. I feel like there is, and I don't know, being relatively new into the space on social media, I'm definitely getting exposed to a lot more people, and the book community is honestly incredible, you guys. Once I started mentioning the fact that Kyle put me on to reading sci-fi, fantasy, the whole nine, just liking content on social media, getting exposed to people's videos and being just communicating and getting kind of thrown into the community. It's fucking dope. Everybody out there who enjoys reading, has experienced firsthand from the benefits of reading, makes me feel welcome.
Yeah. And so just to like talk about our reading journeys a little bit, I started reading when I was a kid. I was a very well-read child and I was reading like advanced books that most kids my age weren't reading. And I read hundreds of books in my adolescence from, early preteen to up until like high school. And then at high school, I kind of stopped reading. I don't know if that was got bullied out of it.
Well, hold on.
by
Go
my
back to the
friends, by
hundreds.
you.
I felt, don't say me, I felt accomplished making it through Harry Potter. I felt like big dick swinging.
I was like an avid library, school library checker out.
Why?
I don't know. I just enjoyed reading a lot. My mom used to read to me like before bed. Like she originally read me the Harry Potter series.
The loving parents is key.
Yeah, and so like that just kind of stuck with me, and I just loved reading. I would literally be in school, teachers teaching. I was gonna swing and not talk, but I can't do that. And I would head down
on the desk
and read, and I would come up and have a line on my forehead, and the teacher would have to confiscate my books like almost every day because I wouldn't be paying attention in school. Not like I fucking needed to.
Right, I respect the hell out of that.
Elementary school, I had that on lock.
And that in the bag.
But she would have to like take my books because I would just be reading instead of listening to class and paying attention.
I respect the hell out of that, honestly.
Priorities. Yeah,
I'm a very new reader. So I was talking with Kyle regarding what I want this episode to be about. And there is a legitimate epidemic of, I don't want to say illiterate because they know how to read, but honestly, for real, young men in general, specifically young men, not reading. And I didn't know until it crossed my mind. It never occurred to me that reading could be like a valuable use of my free time. And I'm not going to lie, you guys, I am different from Kyle. So I remember 1 year for my birthday, my dad asked, he was like, "You're getting books for your birthday this year." And I was like, "Okay, Dad." My dad would go on random points trying to prove something. Like, dude, get a clue. And he was like, "What books do you like? And if I'm getting you books for your birthday, what books do you like?" And I told him, I was like, "Well, I've been reading this series." I didn't even get it out. It was something stupid. It was the Magic Treehouse series. You ever read the Magic Treehouse series? Yeah. Which those books, if you got like a elementary school student, Magic Treehouse is gangster, learning about history and shit. I'm sure it's probably whitewashed and messed up and probably lies, but fun and little adventures nonetheless. The Magic Treehouse series, but I didn't even get that out. And my dad was like, "Series, oh, like Harry Potter?" And I was like, "Yeah." I didn't know what Harry Potter was. I'd never heard of it. And then next thing I know, he got me the Harry Potter books, fell in love.
Yeah.
Fell in love. Fine. There's a reason that books like that, have the notoriety and have become movies and sort of literal theme parks and are as popular as they are because they're fantastic, especially for young readers. And if that's what gets somebody into loving reading, perfect. But I read the Harry Potter series, and I remember just like you in class having the books and getting in trouble. And then that was the end of my reading story. I think as you go into middle school, as I went into middle school, definitely throughout high school, my priorities were as far as possible from books. And in that time, it had completely fallen off my radar as a way to spend my free time. And I have to thank Kyle for putting me back on. You got to put the homies on, and that is what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, from like high school till like 2 years ago, I had read maybe a handful of books just like sporadically. I remember my mom got me the Darker Shade of Magic series for Christmas one year, and I read that and like sat on the couch for like 8 hours straight and read, and I was like, dude, I haven't read in 5-6 years. This is fantastic. And then just didn't read after that series.
That didn't reignite it? You'd think if you had a good series off top from your pick.
Yeah, but that was like peak. Like I was 21. I was going out.
He was barely sober
drinking,
at that age.
So the fact that I got through those books, a miracle. But then when I got back into reading a few years ago, I was like, dude, this is incredible. I would much rather spend my time doing this than playing video games.
Do you remember
or-
what series that was,
It was
or what book it was?
Murtagh by Christopher Paolini. So the Inheritance Cycle, the Aragon books were my favorite series growing up as a kid. And he released a new book in the series for the first time in like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And he came to Kansas City to do a book signing. He was on tour for his new book. And my cousin Joey was like, hey, Christopher Paolini's in town doing a book signing for his new book. Do you want to go? And I was like, I didn't even know he came out with a new book. Yeah, I want to go.
Yeah, that's
So we went, bought the new book. I bought his other books that he had released throughout the years, and got them signed. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to reread the Aragon series so I can read this new book. So I reread the Aragon series.
Was it as good as you remember?
I think the nostalgia was good. I think now that I've read more, it doesn't hold up to like what I'm currently reading.
Yeah.
But even when I was doing my reread, I was like, yeah, this is fantastic. And then the new book, I love the new book too. But then after that, I was like, oh, I do like reading, especially like laying down before bed and reading instead of doom scrolling on my phone.
That's a vibe.
And so I just Googled like adult fantasy books and just started picking some books that were popping up. And then here we are. I've read, almost 100 books in the 2 years, so like 50 books a year.
Yeah, this boy, we showed up to work one morning and we're literally just working side by side. And this boy, Kyle, is telling me all about this series. He's like, I just started. He's like kind of having a hard time explaining what it was about because the books that are incredibly intricate are that way until you have and once you get through them all and have time to reflect, you can develop a cohesive sort of explanation. But until then, you're like, well, I don't know what's important, what's not. So he was explaining to me these Johns, the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. And he's explaining to me like the caste system and like a guy trying to start a revolution type shit. And he was like, but go check it out. And I was like, dog, what you out here wasting your breath? You know, I don't read. I haven't read a book and literally I can't remember when. And, but I was like, I'll trust Kyle, one of my best friends. I'll trust him. I'll give it a go. There could not have been a better recommendation. There could not have been.
You leaving? Nah.
Baby boy still sleeping.
He's still sleeping. That's over there's fine. Yeah. Thank
Bye,
you.
Henley.
Bye. You're gonna be home like 4, right? Okay.
But there could not have been a better recommendation as like an adult who hasn't read, a young man, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's different for everybody. For me personally, The Red Rising is like, I've read a ton of books since then and still holds up as my favorite series. And I don't know, maybe it might be a nostalgia type thing of like, maybe I am overhyping it. But to me, it was a literal 10 out of 10. The entire series, absolutely fantastic. And I have to thank you for
Got you.
for how much joy it's brought me. And this is my call to arms to all the young men out there. This is my sort of appeal to try to spread this joy that I feel obligated to spread.
Mm-hmm.
This is my call to arms for you young men. If you come home from work, not Desi's arm in the clip I saw. This is my call to arms for all you young men. If you work a blue collar job, you come home, you're dirty, you maybe go to the gym on your way home, and then you get home, you're fucking exhausted. You're waiting for your girl to make you some dinner. You're trying to have some energy to play with the kids, whatever. I know that life. I know how the fuck that feels. And you don't think you have time for shit. And when you get home, you just want to play some Call of Duty. I fucking challenge you, bro. This is not even a joke. Anytime that you would spend playing Call of Duty, Fortnite, whatever, take that half hour, 45 minutes, whatever it may be, find a book, give it a shot, give it a fucking go, lay down, read. Tell me, do that for a month. Tell me that shit doesn't end up being more fulfilling than that video game or that movie or that TV series, or especially doom scrolling. If that shit is not more valuable than, if you finding a good book that you enjoy is not more valuable than the other things you could be doing in your free time, then I'll owe you. I'll owe you one. I don't know what, but I'll owe you one.
Dude, reading is magical. And there's a million quotes of authors and philosophers and whatever talking about like the magic of reading, literally taking an entire world in your pocket and being able to transport yourself into that world. And I think, and I on top of that challenge, if you have kids, like my mom read to me, and that's why I became a reader. Like read to your kids, because empathy, a big part of emotional intelligence and empathy comes from reading and putting yourself in these characters' shoes, especially like fiction. Because these characters do things all the time. I'm reading it, be like, dude, that is not what why are they doing that? That is the wrong decision, and you have to like put yourself in their shoes and understand why they're making that decision. And then once you get to the end of the story, you kind of understand it a little bit, why they made that decision. And the amount of empathy that I don't know, you like train it, you just get better at being empathetic.
I think what it is, it's the forced perspective. Like when you're reading through, oftentimes in the books that we read, it goes from one character's POV to another character's POV.
Mhm.
And in that, you are forced to understand their motivations and their choices and things like that. And it's just through the continued experience that I think what you're talking about. Because you're right. I did a quick little, Kyle mentioned something about that there have been studies relating adults developing stronger senses of empathy. And that's more prevalent in people who read regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just on my way home. I was like, he might be bullshitting me. And I asked Siri, I was in my truck. I said, hey, Siri. And if you do that, it's working on your iPad. But if you do that, it'll say like, do you want me to use ChatGPT to answer this question? And according to ChatGPT, it was like there have been actual studies completed. And I don't know how they would measure empathy. I didn't do any more other than a cursory quick little search. But it did say like adults who read develop these strong, positive emotional traits like empathy. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking valuable. That's just valuable in helping you connect and having meaningful connections and relationships with people every day of your life. And rather than and it gives so much more. And I've talked to Kyle about this before. So when I was I'll just do this quickly. When I was about 20 years old, I was like, I'm an adult now. I need to start reading. So I started reading, and I'm pointing to this side of his bookcases because he's got a bunch of nonfiction self-help books over here, and sort of we all know the type, that how to make friends and influence people, blah 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 type books. I read about 4 of those, and I was like, those types of books literally made me feel like I didn't like reading. Like I'm not a reader. That's not for me. I'm forcing through this shit. I'm like, my mind is wandering, blah blah blah. Cut to 10 years later, Kyle tells me about Red Rising, gets me absolutely addicted and hooked on to fiction, novels, fantasy, sci-fi. And in that sort of journey, I'm realizing that these books, not only do these books give you what the nonfiction books give you, they give you so much more. Rather than the nonfiction books of saying, are you struggling to be able to connect with people or feel like you're not finding your purpose in life, blah, blah, blah. Instead of just asking you the question and trying to propose an answer in these nonfiction books, the fiction books, literally you're forced to watch a display of somebody making choices. And instead of the book giving you the question, you are forced to ask yourself the question, what is the question? And through their story, through their progression, through their character arc, through their growth, their trials and overcoming their trials. And then you have and then you finish a book and you're entertained. You're like, that was fucking incredible. And then the revelations and the emotional epiphanies come to you in the weeks following the conclusion of a good book. You're getting everything and more, and entertainment.
Yeah,
it's so fucking valuable.
I've seen a lot of people talk about, oh, you read fantasy, you read fiction, you read sci-fi. That's not real reading. Read these nonfiction books so you can
read the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Go get your ass on somewhere.
I've read all those, dude. I have all of the popular ones up here. I've read them all.
7 highly effective habits of effective, highly effective people. Get your ass on somewhere.
They all say the same things in slightly different ways. And you get, like you said, you get all of that and more out of fiction. And I'm on the other side of the argument. If you're reading nonfiction, you're not a real reader. You're not getting the benefits of what reading can do. And the same thing about a lot of people say like listening to audiobooks don't count. I think they absolutely do, because you're still putting yourself into the story, in the position of these characters, which is the benefit of reading. It's the thinking and listening to the story, not the actual physical. I'd argue that sometimes I've sat down for hours and read and my eyes hurt. That's got to be a negative. That's
got to be a physical negative. I see what you're saying. You're still getting, the important part is the moral of the story.
Yeah.
And you're still getting the moral of the story, whether you're reading it physically or listening to an audiobook.
Yeah. I don't know what the direct correlation of reading it physically or listening to it audibly.
Yeah.
I don't know what the correlation with that is scientifically, but I do both, and I've read the entire Red Rising series, and I've listened to the entire Red Rising series, and I got the same, arguably more, out of the audio version.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
this is, again, a call to arms. If you're a young man, take up my challenge and let me know what it does for your life. If it doesn't make your life better, if you don't feel better about your situation, if you don't feel more accomplished, if you don't look at things differently, if you don't feel closer to the within the relationships in your life, I'm telling you, literally all these benefits. I had no clue.
Yeah.
It literally, it's profound, and it's a noticeable impact that reading, just the simple elementary act of reading, has had on my
There's
life.
something about sitting down in silence, in your own home, being comfortable in silence, reading, and you're just in your own little world, and then also in this other little world. There's something incredible and magical about that, and I don't know what that is. I'm sure somebody could answer, the benefits of that, and I've seen people kind of talk about it. But a lot of people like read with music or background noise, and I do that too, but I really enjoy the moments when it's pure silence and there's nothing else going on, and you can really get lost in these stories.
That brings me to my next point. If you are a person who thinks you're not a reader or you don't have the focus for reading, this is not bullshit. And I've noticed this and I have experienced this firsthand. It is literally a skill to be practiced and developed because the payoff is worth it. It's just like sports. You've played sports to where you're not good to begin with. And it's like, well, why? I'm not good. I don't want to do this. Well, how, maybe not when you're a kid, but at least by the time you get to high school, if I keep practicing and I become good at the sport, you just intuitively know all the benefits that are going to come with being good. So you go through the hard thing of practicing and not being good so you can be good and reap all the benefits from being good. Reading is no different than any other skill. And I've noticed the more I read, the more I force myself into developing this, what I consider a good habit, the better I get at the actual skill of reading, which is being able to stay focused, not letting your mind wander. And then it's to the point now, and it only took literally probably 6 months or less to get to this point where you open a book, and once you're reading, you're not really, it doesn't feel like you're reading word for word. It kind of feels as if you're just kind of flowing with the words. The scene in the book is playing out in your mind, and then you're just page after page after page, and you're like, holy shit, and you get to enjoy going along for this ride. And it is not a chore anymore, but it is a skill. And if you think that reading is not for you, and if you think you don't have the focus, and I've heard that so much, it's crazy how much I've heard that. People are like, dude, I don't have the focus for reading. I've tried reading, blah, blah, blah. I guarantee if you find a book that you actually enjoy, which sometimes can be hard, you find a book you actually enjoy, you're not going to have those problems.
Yeah, that will solve itself. And a lot of times people talk about, oh, I'm too slow. Dude, don't worry about that. Everyone's so worried about how fast they read. Oh, they read so much more than me. Like I only can read half a book a month. Dude, that's better than most people. Most people don't read a book a year.
And not even that. Most people don't have a shit ton of downtime where you can sit down and read a book. You know what I mean? We've got demands. You've got fucking dinner that needs to be made, kids that need to be watched, homework that needs to be helped with. You got work all day, and then you got to find time for fitness, the whole 9 yards. So you might only get a half hour of free time. What I'm talking about is in that free time, picking reading definitely over TV, maybe over video games, maybe over movies, which can be fulfilling.
Ejaculating, you porn addict.
That caught me off guard. Seriously, jack off. Think about it, if you take off one of your jack offs every day, that's probably a half hour to an hour over the course of a week.
You got to find a good video. It takes a while.
God damn, that is fun. You can make time for reading is all I and Kyle are getting at. You can make time for reading, and you have my personal guarantee that if you make time for reading and so it's give and take. Yes, you want to find a book that's good and that you're going to enjoy, and you're not going to enjoy every book, but you have to give in like putting in your best foot forward and doing your best to be focused and paying attention. And then once you are able to go and sort of strengthen that habit and find a book you like, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah. Give it a shot. I can almost guarantee you won't regret it if you find the right book. And, obviously we have the books that we like and we read a lot of the same stuff. They might not be stuff for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Go find some other book influencers, book talkers, people who are just talking about books and that might fit your vibe, and try out some of those books.
Yeah. Even Kyle likes some books that aren't good. So
yeah. It's good.
But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Simply based upon the amount of joy and satisfaction, simply based upon the amount of joy that reading has brought my life, I feel obligated to share it with you guys. I know there's too many young men out there who are not reading, who have literally forgot. Like, I don't fucking think about reading. Like, they don't even think I haven't thought about reading. They just think we get into habits.
Yeah.
We get into habits. I come home, I take a shower, I worked all fucking day. I just want to sit down and play some video games, and then those are habits. Before you know it, it's been 4 years, and you're like, well, I haven't really done much. I'm working on these things professionally, blah, blah, blah. I'm working on these things with relationship wise. But working on yourself, finding this form of entertainment that can be just as entertaining as a video game or a movie, but 10 times more fulfilling.
Yeah, because I've thought about it a lot. Like, oh, why read? I can watch the movie. Most of the time, the movies aren't as good as the books. And then secondly, when you're watching a movie, you're not really thinking about like the story and putting yourself in these characters' shoes. You're watching it being played out. Whereas when you're reading, you're kind of in the shit with the story.
Yep.
You don't. It's not the same. Whether you could have the movie could be exactly the same as the book in terms of quality. People could agree on that, but you wouldn't get the same out of it.
I think simply because of the fact that the book demands more from you. Yeah. It demands more energy, effort, attention. And not only that, I think it's very rare. It's only happened maybe once or twice in my life where a movie emotionally impacts me or sticks with me long after it's over the way books do and can and often do. I would say more often than not, the books that I read, I'm thinking about them for weeks. Yeah, after the book is over. That doesn't happen with the movie.
Even the books I don't like, I think about all the time, and I'm like, why do I not like that? Why does it? I talked to Chase about like, oh, this shit pissed me off, blah 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 blah, and it's like, dude, I don't even like the book. Why am I giving it more attention weeks after I finish it?
It just lives with you, and these things live rent free in your head. And through the books, that same exact experience where it just sticks with you emotionally. The books that you do enjoy, dude, I'm having revelations like weeks and months later about a character development or like finally understanding why someone in a book did something or why something happened. And it's just like you're kind of going on a journey yourself and understanding. It's just fantastic. It's fulfilling in almost every single way. Yeah. And I'm challenging. I've definitely Kyle's done what he can to spread it within our friend group. We've already got our other friends, a lot of our other friends reading. And it's just fucking dope because now I'm with the boys, and instead of talking about bullshit, we're out here talking about literature. And I would have that was not on my bingo card for 2025. Yeah. We're out here talking about literature, and I'm like, bro, I have a homie who is more of a friend of Kyle. So our boy Joe lives down in Texas. I was literally on FaceTime with this dude who's a distant friend for me for like a half hour talking about Red Rising. And he was just like talking about all the characters and the thing. And I was like, I'm connecting with my friends in a much more meaningful way. And we have a topic that we can not only relate to, but that is fucking force demanding us to be thinking about shit in a more analytical, critical way.
And we all interpret the stories. I don't know if interpret's the right word, but we're getting different things out of the stories. And there's been times where you've said, oh, I enjoyed this part because of this, or I enjoy this character because of this. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about it that way. And it kind of alters. And then I go back and think about the story, and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes more sense than what I had going on. And it kind of like changes and alters the way that I viewed the story in the books later on because you experienced it a little bit differently, or certain parts hit different for you.
Yeah.
Which is also an incredible thing. But
yeah, ditto from you as well. You say something, I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And it makes me view what transpired in a completely different light. And just being able to connect with your friends on something like that. And on some egotistical shit, maybe, I don't know, just being a well-rounded, well-developed man. I have this like tiny little theory in my head that throughout my life, I need to upgrade my character. Like I'm here right now and I've got my stats where they are. Like I literally have this like dream desire of when I die, I want my stats to be maxed out. And like, you're not really getting much impact on really anything from video games, TVs, movie that I've experienced for myself. But books is helping me be more introspective, more reflective on my actions and empathetic in my relationships. And really, when you start to question the bigger things that I'm not often forced or even think about asking myself other than when I'm reading these books and just trying to become the best man I can possibly be. And I feel like, I don't know why it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but books have helped me on that journey.
Well, a lot of these books tackle like some pretty heavy topics of like social political topics, classism, hierarchies,
straight up racism.
Yeah, straight up racism, like all these things that we are dealing with in society, and you're reading about this stuff and you're thinking about it. So when you're done reading the series, you've thought about these like big topics that a lot of people discuss anyways. So it's like helping you with these big world topics and thinking about and being progressive and just trying to make good decisions and being empathetic and understanding that motherfucker ain't nobody got it figured out.
Nobody. And this is, and I think just in a way that's going to relate to young men straight up. I know a lot of us out there want to be well-rounded men. We see like people of the generation, baby boomers certainly exhibit the fucking most bonker ass personality traits that you're like, how the fuck are you a two-dimensional character and you're 60 years, 70 years old? It's like, bro, you didn't grow out of these hateful, spiteful, closed-minded, like, how are you so unaware? And I know a lot of guys our generation want to be well-rounded men.
Yeah.
When we get old, we don't want to have regrets and have hate in our heart. And I feel like just as part of developing yourself as a person, as a man, this is not a prescription. You know, I'm just telling you the effect that books have had on my life. But just wanting the desire to be a well-rounded old man when I finally decide to grow up, books have helped tremendously, which is why it's not why I started, but it's absolutely part of the reason why I will continue to read.
Yep. Anyways, that's our little 2 cents about reading. Reading is fucking cool, you guys. If
reading is cool, I like reading, dude.
Reading is it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, so like Chase says, we challenge you to pick up a book, find a book that you think you'll enjoy.
Oh, real quickly. If a young man's never read, if he's brand new and he's like, fuck it, I'll listen to these two bozos, what is your one book that you're recommending?
My number one book, see, it's like kind of different because you kind of gotta like feel it out a little bit. Like for you, I knew you are like a more dystopian type thing, so that's why I told you Red Rising.
Yeah, and that shit.
But for Joe Hickman, I recommended him Mistborn first because I felt like he would enjoy that more. So I have like the,
you go person by person, which is smart. That's very thoughtful.
I want
the general young man.
Yeah, I'm a little sneaky, addictive little book dealer.
That little fucker got me. He told me Red Rising. I said, man, this is my bitch ass friend over here putting an obligation on me to pick up a book. Fine, I'll do it out of friendship. Breeze. I said, hold on now, what do you got here? Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, any of these books, some of them are a little harder reads. And
like, for example, we know it's a no-go. If somebody has never read, if I'm talking to a young man at the gym, I'm barely able to consider myself a young man anymore. I'll be 33 this year. Anyways, if I'm talking to a young man at the gym and I'm spouting off about a book, blah, 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 I'm not recommending Empire of Silence. Like, that's not just a book you just casually jump into and go.
Stormlight or
Stormlight Archive. There's books that are no-goes.
But I mean, there's a reason why every dude on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube are talking about Red Rising. It is so good, and it's such a good entry level book. It's not hard to read. It's fast paced. It's got great character work, and it's really a great introduction into reading and what reading can do.
Yeah.
Because you'll be chasing that high for the rest of your reading journey.
Yep, and I have been. So Red Rising, I would say prior to this latest series that I've been reading, it would have been Red Rising. I will say if I was introducing a new series or to a young man who doesn't read, I'm gonna go Dungeon Crawler. Dungeon Crawler
Carl, bro.
Dungeon Crawler Carl. It is light, fast, easy, action-packed, absolutely bonkers, absurd, off the chain, off the rails. The just craziness that's happening in that book, and I feel like if that doesn't capture your imagination and get you interested, then
because it starts off. The first couple books start off as just a fun, light, fast read that keeps you entertained, and then these later books are slowly adding in the emotionality, the character work, the depth, the bigger picture, the bigger political, social, economic worldviews that fuck the system.
That you didn't fuck the system that you didn't even know you were gonna get and that you were in store for. It is so fucking good. So if I'm out here recommending one book to a young man who hasn't read and didn't think about ever reading the book until right now, check out Dungeon Crawler Carl. Check out Red Rising. Guaranteed you'll love one of those.
You're
two
more
books.
into like the fantasy type genre. I mean, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson is also another fantastic trilogy that will just show you how far fantasy can go.
Yeah.
So if you're, because I knew before Red Rising, I was like, I'm not a sci-fi guy. And then I read Red Rising and I was like, oh yeah, I can be a sci-fi guy.
I am the exact opposite. Before, I thought I was only a sci-fi guy. Before Mistborn, I thought I was not a fantasy guy. Yeah. I'm over here thinking dwarves, elves, fairies. I'm like, this shit is so cheesy, bro. No, motherfucker, you don't know Brandon Sanderson. It's the Mistborn trilogy.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, and if you like, if you're a big Harry Potter guy and like that kind of like magic system, A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab is a phenomenal trilogy as well, and it's more into that like traditional magician type magic. You really can't go wrong, and you just start with any of those. you'll be fine.
Or read some classics. Some that are coming to my mind, Kyle, that I remember being pretty influential was Brave New World by Aldous Huxley.
Yeah.
Just light, easy, classic dystopian. And the thing I've noticed about reading the classics is there are fucking allusions with an A. There are allusions and references to these classic books literally everywhere.
Yep.
And if you haven't read them, I noticed the allusions. Like, I'll look at my girlfriend over her head. She don't fucking know what's going on. The illusions that are just going over people's head. And when you read the classics, you're like, oh, that was from Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, which is a book that's like fucking 70 years old.
Which I just read that for the first time earlier this year. And that was, it is a classic, so it doesn't hold up like pacing wise or whatever with these new modern books. But it was incredible that this book was written almost 100 years ago. And it was like line by line depicting modern day society.
That's shit. These books are the books that have become classics are classics for a reason. And I have a whole laundry list of classics that I need to be reading anyways. But I have noticed that just having read the classics, which are famous for a reason, they're referenced everywhere in pop culture, movies, songs, TV shows. Yeah. And they're references that you want to understand if you're not, if you haven't read the books.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So we're back to it. We challenge you to pick up a book, read. You'll have a good time. It'll be more fulfilling. And
this for everybody universally, but specifically young men. I feel like young men need to read more. And that's just putting up on my heart. This is the old man in me coming at y'all. So
yeah, as young men who just recently got back into reading, I wish I would not have wasted years not reading. I'd be hundreds and hundreds of books into my TBR at this point.
Think about how much more advanced we would be right now.
I'd probably be a superhuman at this point.
Well, we love y'all to death. Thank y'all for watching. And until next time, love.
Love you. Bye.